principal here at Socrata.
Great. So give us a brief overview of your career.
Yeah, sure. So I started in public policy and worked at some think tanks, but then joined the Mayor Landrieu's administration in New Orleans back in 2010. And he asked me to lead his data innovation initiatives. So I was the founding director of the city's Office of Performance and Accountability, which is the city's first data analytics and performance management shop. I started in city government, and it was clear that that public employees were working remarkably hard. They were incredibly dedicated, and they have enormous challenges. But there was very little tools available to them that they could work smarter, not just harder. And in my experience, data is that abundant but highly under-leveraged asset that governments have that can allow their public servants to work smarter, not just harder, to solve the really important challenges facing their communities.
Do you have an example to give us?
Yeah, sure. So we had this awful tragedy in New Orleans in which 5 people, including 3 beautiful children, died in a house fire in a neighborhood in New Orleans. And it really shook the community, it shook the fire department to its core. And the fire chief, Tim McConnell, who's a fantastic fire chief, they had an existing fire program where if a resident wanted a smoke alarm, they could call the firehouse and a firefighter would gladly come out and install one free of charge. But the problem was not enough people were taking advantage of that program, and it was the people who are most in need who are actually least likely to take advantage of it. So I asked how we could help, and he said, I really want to get out into the field and have firefighters start installing smoke alarms on a door-to-door basis. But we don't know really where to go, and we can't go everywhere because we're just going to waste a lot of time and resources. So I said, I think we can help. And so what we did is we used data from free federal data and our own data on the locations of fires to figure out those areas of the city where you're most likely to have homes that don't have smoke alarms and are also most in need because they're most at risk of fire fatalities. And so the firefighters could go out in a very surgical way to those neighborhoods that needed that intervention, a smoke alarm, the most. And lo and behold, one of the first neighborhoods they went out to, Central City, which has all the indicators of need. It's poor, historic, with very low turnover. And the New Orleans firefighters went out there, installed a smoke alarm. 7 months later, a fire broke out in that house, and 11 people were able to escape from that fire with their lives intact. And I think that just, firefighters work incredibly hard and put their lives at risk to keep their communities safe. And I think the recent fires in Los Angeles are another example of that, the bravery and the valor of what firefighters do. And by having a bit more intelligence about how to use their energies in an effective way, they can be that more effective. And in New Orleans, that program was very well received, not just by our fire chief, but by the actual firefighters who are doing that important work every day. I chose to come to Socrata because I wanted to apply the lessons I learned in New Orleans at scale. And I think Socrata's at a really interesting time in its history, and where it's really making a bold move to help governments make their own data liquid so that they can problem solve with their own data. And frankly, I haven't seen any other company doing that particularly well. And I think Socrata's got the leadership, the talent, the tools, and I think the public commitment in order to fulfill that mission. So I think it's a very exciting place to be. Well, I'm looking to work with clients, with governments of all shapes and sizes to help them figure out how they can best solve problems using data. I look forward to working with our product team to make sure that our products align to the needs of governments to help them solve the problems that they need. And I look forward to working with the broader civic innovation community to figure out how we can partner with them to solve the problems that we're all trying to solve.